Oh, hi there. On this episode of Joint Failures, Chris and John will talk about rad sites that they like. They will talk about their personal experience with swine flu. They will also give you a laser review of the video game Borderlands, and they will teach you how to turn your $200 version of Windows 7 into a $400 version of Windows 7. Stick around. It's my show! Joint Failures.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Joint Failures. My name is Chris, and sitting right next to me is John.
Me. I'm here, too.
All right, so Joint Failures, what's the show about? Pretty much whatever we can come up with.
Yep.
We're going to fail right along with you. And in this episode, we've got some pretty interesting things to talk about. Hopefully, we're going to give you some of the best sites you've ever heard of. Then we've got some topical information regarding swine flu. And, of course, we've got to talk about video games and some interesting tech stories.
Right.
All right.
That's mostly it, right?
Before we jump into it, I thought we should maybe touch on something from last episode.
Okay.
And at the end of last episode, we talked about, looking for jobs and how it's kind of a tough market out there in the tech sector right now.
Right.
But between last episode and this episode, you've become gainfully employed.
You're right. I think I talked about it. I was pretty sure I was going to be a gainfully employed.
You had one of those hunches. You know when you go land that interview?
Right.
You can tell.
So, yeah, now we'll see how the job goes. I actually start tomorrow.
It's kind of an interesting company because the product they make is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's right up my alley.
Tell them a little about it.
As people who know me know, I am super into extreme sports.
We are both into extreme sports,
Yeah.
but we know what we've never been able to do? Share our passion for extreme sports with our passion for putting video on the internet.
Right. So this company actually lets that happen. No,
As Chris drinks a beer.
It's a head cam.
It's actually pretty cool. It's an HD head cam.
HD head cam that you can strap to your helmet
Let me see that thing while you talk about it.
To your car or really whatever you want. It's actually a pretty decent product, and it's fairly inexpensively priced.
One of the things that's kind of cool is it has, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this to you guys, but it has laser pointers to line it up.
Right.
Because you might want to make sure that if you have it strapped to your head, you can't really see. This is a fantastic concept. If you have it strapped to your head and you can't really see where it's lined up at, you don't know if your picture is going to come across kind of crooked. So they put 2 laser levels on there so you can make sure that when you're done, you're going to have a nice straight picture, which is genius because it's even hard to get a straight picture when you just have like one of those little flip cams, those little handheld HD cams.
Right. We're not sponsored by these guys either.
Oh, no. Yeah, we should mention it. Well, other than they're employing you.
Employment, right. But they
so
don't
we did a little test shot, little demo video, and the picture quality looks pretty good. And if you think about it, they even have a higher resolution one than this. This is 720p.
Yeah, and there's a 1080.
And so it shoots. It has it has a microphone too, so it gets the audio. It has a micro SD card slot.
Right.
And what else? What else am I missing about this guy?
It's got the USB port in the back. It has
USB. It shows
lithium battery.
Lithium battery, just like a cell phone battery there. And then when you hook it up over USB, it just shows up as a mass storage device. That's pretty cool. This camera shoots in I think like H.264 in the QuickTime MOV container.
Right. And it comes with the 2 gig SD card.
And they have different cameras that shoot in different formats, and it's really kind of a neat deal. And it's
super easy to use.
It's lightweight, so it's not going to be really bulky, and it's got a it's a metal enclosure on the cylinder of the camera is metal, and then the bottom mount has a little plastic on it, and it'll go into any kind of hot shoe, any shoe for a camera mount, which is really cool. And on top of that, it actually produces a pretty good picture.
Yeah, it's not too bad, really. Yeah.
So I was
$300.
The Contour. This is the Contour HD. So for those of you who want to get in your first-person porn business,
yeah, check it out.
There you go. All right, so very cool. Glad you got a job, and I thought we covered that because we got some comments on that, and
we did?
a little bit of good news. We did. People, they want to make sure that the John over here is not.
Well, thanks everybody. I missed those comments, but
all right. Thanks. So we've got to talk about the swine flu, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. I have a little bit of personal experience with the swine flu because I had it, and John worked. John's last gig, he had to do some research on swine flu.
Quite a bit of research.
And there's been some recent development regarding swine flu in the news. So we're going to talk about that, but that's going to be a bit. But it's going to be an interesting segment because I got a little bit of insider's information from a local hospital on some policies and procedures they've had to recently put in place because they're so freaked out by swine flu. and it really, really, really woke me up to how serious they're taking it.
Yeah.
That's coming up. You're going to have to wait for that because we got some other cool stuff. I thought it'd be a fun idea to kind of take a tech angle at this and talk about some of our favorite sites, which I am labeling rad sites.
Okay.
And I thought I'd kick it off and I'd let you noodle it around and see if you came up with any.
Right. AOL.com.
Right, of course.
Right.
Yeah. Hotmail is a rad site.
Check it out.
Alta Vista. No. The first one I'm going to give you is a new one. And if you haven't heard of this site, that's because you're just not as well versed in the internet as I am.
Right.
But that's why you're listening to Joint Failures, because you failed, but now jointly I'm raising the bar here. No, the first one I'm going to give out is ClassicCinemaOnline.com. Now,
No.
what the F is Classic Cinema Online?
Tell me more, Chris.
Well, John, here's what you got. So Classic Cinema is a feature. You can't download them, but you can stream a bunch of classic, great old films. And they've got all kinds of different categories ranging from action to westerns. And they have, what I really like is they have some old newsreels too, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that is kind of neat.
Yeah. And then because they're awesome, what they also do, and it's free by the way, what they also do is they take note of the time of year. Clever. And they work in kind of like a theme angle, right? So like obviously right now we're recording this before Halloween, so this week's kind of all about classic horror movies.
I see.
Which if you're sitting at home, got your lonesome on, and it's Halloween, you can celebrate a little bit by watching some classic retro Halloween movies. So they're doing spooky movies, and then when the Christmas-ish holidays roll around, they're going to do more of those types of movies and things like that. Very cool. It's
so how recent are the films? Like you say
old.
Classic. Old. So
Old.
Right.
Like here's the original Dracula from like
Ooh,
1931.
Right.
So some of these are even silent films. They've got a variety of silent films, and you know, some are still in color, and some most are in black and white. But we're right now. I just clicked on Dracula, and we're streaming the original 1931 Dracula right here at my desk. Kind of awesome. And
So please pause for an hour and a half.
Right. And if you're just you know, if you've got maybe like a 2-monitor setup or a nice size screen, and you can put up one of these videos on your screen while you work, it's very cool. And their site is very well designed. It's got a very cool look to it, and it's easy to navigate.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. The Bat. Oh, that's a good one. 1959, The Bat.
I'm already scared.
It's a great Halloween movie. So that's one of my rad sites.
Okay.
If you haven't seen ClassicCinemaOnline.com, you should check it out. All right?
Okay.
All right, that's my first rad site. Now, my second rad site of the night. Oh, rad site of the night. How do you like that?
Oh, there we go. We'll have to keep this up then.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's why, because of the name. Okay, so the second we actually came up just a little bit before the show started. It's called InstantWatcher.com. Now, what is this, John? What do you suppose? Go ahead. What's Instant Watcher?
Is it exactly like the last site?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Same genre, though. Only porn. No, I'm just kidding. It's not porn. It's Netflix. A lot of people out there probably have themselves a Netflix account, right?
Yeah.
You have a Netflix account.
I do, Chris.
I have a Netflix account. Here's the thing. Netflix has introduced this Watch Now technology. Decent enough. You know, you can stream it on your Rokus. You can stream it on your TiVos. You can stream it on your computers. And things of that. Xboxes.
Right.
Things of that nature. But here's the problem with Watch Now. What's the problem, John? Tell me what the problem is.
Well, they're all crappy movies, Chris.
Exactly, John. They suck. For the most part.
Well, yeah, there's some exceptions.
There are definitely exceptions, and that's what InstantWatcher.com is all about. It breaks them out into each category. So you got your drama, your romance, your sci-fi and fantasy, and it tells you what is really hot and popular in those categories. Also, it's got things like the New York Times top picks and things like that.
Right. So now I know that one of the most popular movies is Maid of Honor.
And My Best Friend's Wedding.
Right.
But if we go to sci-fi and fantasy, you can see that Godzilla Tokyo is on there. First Man in the
Hollow
Moon
Man
is on
2,
there.
Red Sonja.
And it does the same Netflix popover thing. So if you bring your mouse over a title, it does the little pop-out thing where it gives you a description of the movie.
The year and the stars.
And if I click on it, if I click on a title, I can go in here and I can see a community rating system where other people have watched it and have rated. So it's kind of like take one part directory listing, 2 parts wiki, and another part Apple trailer site. Put it all into one site. parse just the best from Netflix in each category.
Well, Netflix does that too with the ratings too, but that's
Right, but here's what's cooler. So I can say sci-fi fantasy, rated by the Instant Watcher community on stuff that's just been added to Netflix or stuff that's going to expire in the next couple of days on Netflix.
That's great.
Because, Netflix doesn't always have the same content all the time. Depending on their licensing, they have to pull stuff sometimes.
Right.
And you can then click on it and say, okay, well, in the next 5 days, what is Netflix going to pull off their site? I want to watch that crap before it's gone. And then I can add it either to my queue, so I can go watch it on like a TiVo or an Xbox, or I can watch it immediately right here up on my machine. Not bad.
Cool.
InstantWatcher.com, totally free, and you can manage your instant queue, and they're also starting to work in Hulu. They've got a site that does the same thing only for Hulu. You can find links to that over at InstantWatcher.com. All right, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yes.
Okay, now, this will be the last thing in kind of like the home cinema movie experience thing, but this is just another site that I like a lot because the dudes that run this site, or it's more than just dudes, it's this whole community that run this site, really put a ton of work into this, and this is thetvdb.com. Now, the tvdb.com is just that. It is a huge, massive database for basically every TV show ever that's ever existed and is on the air now.
So does it have just like summaries of each episode, or
it has? Okay, so here's what it does, and now frame this in the mindset of maybe you have like a home theater system where you have TV shows on your computer, or you've downloaded them somehow legally, and you want to now add artwork to the folders for the seasons. You want season-specific artwork. You want informational things.
Everything.
There's sites, there's projects out there like Xbox Media Center that actually use this site for the information, but you're exactly right. So let's say I'm looking at Chuck here, right? I go into Chuck and I say, well, show me season 2 of Chuck. And then I can go into season 2 and I can see artwork just for the second season, which is great if you have a home theater system. And then I get each episode's number, its name, and its air date, and its description, and everything is editable by the public. It's essentially got a Wikipedia-style thing.
Right.
It includes a screenshot from the episode in most cases, if it's available, if people have added it. And then all of this is parsable through database queries and some sort of API system. So a lot of different things are tying this information in now. But if you want to go straight to the source, if like there was that Star Trek: The Next Generation episode about a child, you can go here, you can search Star Trek: The Next Generation child, and it'll show you all the episodes with child in the name or description.
That's pretty cool,
right? It's kind of like IMDb, but just for TV, and you can get more. You can easily find information about just a specific episode. So that's the tvdb.com. Now, so think about it. Think about yourself here.
Okay, I don't have that many.
My last rad site is kind of a cheater site. If you're a lazy SOB and you just need to prove a point.
Check.
Right? Who isn't, right?
We are.
Yeah.
Us too.
Yes. That's actually probably a little depressing. All right. So, instantpiechart.com. Now, you say to yourself, what the F is Chris talking about? Pie charts?
I like pie.
Yeah, but pie charts? That sounds like math, right? Well, here's what it is, you guys. If you want to prove a point, you can go throw any arbitrary numbers into this thing, and this mother effer will generate you a pie chart on the fly.
Wow.
Now, you say, Chris, when the F could that ever be useful, right? And let me tell you.
I disagree with you. Hold on. Let me get my laptop.
Exactly. Let me show you this chart that proves my point.
Here's why you're wrong.
And I have actually used this to like email clients. They're like, can we see an overview of our uptime? That means they want charts. I'm like, well, I don't have anything formally put together. Well, let me go to instantpiecharts.com.
I show you in pie form.
And I will bang out a quick, this is your uptime. This little bitty sliver, here's your downtime. And then that must be factual because it's a pie chart.
There you go.
You know? Pie chart equal facts.
Wow. That was not I would have guessed you would have picked.
Right?
For this.
Curveball. Nice. All right, Johnny John. You got anything that you want to throw in?
I don't really have too much. I mean, mine are really fairly well known, and this topic was kind of sprung on me last minute, so I wasn't really able to check out anything.
You're welcome.
But, I mean, everybody knows The Onion.
Oh,
but if you go to the AV Club, I mean, I think that there's some really well thought out reviews there for movies. There's some good interviews with actors. Some great content that's updated. Weekly.
Yep. So and, The Onion. I mean, The Onion's kind of known for their their satirical.
Yeah, right. And the Onion AV Club. I'm sure I feel kind of silly talking about this. I'm sure everybody knows, but let me just remind you.
I don't know. Is the AV Club like?
No, it's not. It's I mean, there's funny articles in it, but
it's found on The Onion.
I rarely go to the onion.com anymore. I just go straight to the AV Club.
Okay.
I'll take a quick look at the headlines on the.
I got you.
But
that's a good one, dude.
The AV Club has got great interviews with actors, and you really get just everybody. You get kind of medium famous people. You get comedians. You get musicians. It's a great place to kind of. And they review everything too, so you get reviews on movies and music.
Pretty decent reviews, or
well thought out reviews, and they do special stories, special articles sometimes. I remember last year, so they might do again. They did like one poor reviewer went to all of the Saw films, saw all of them back to back to back.
avclub.com.
Yeah, AV Club.
So it's run by the guys that do The Onion.
Yes,
but
it's directly tied into The Onion.
You can find it via going to The Onion.
Right. It's like there's a link on The Onion at the top of the page.
That's cool. No, that's a great one.
So that's a good one.
So how would you say their reviews are like Ain't It Cool, or say like Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, I think they're less biased. They're a little bit. I feel like they're slightly more educated reviews. I mean, I've checked Ain't It Cool's reviews before, and they're good writers, and they know their stuff. But sometimes they just get a little too fanboyish, and
right.
They'll call a very bad movie a good movie.
Right. That's been.
I've had much better luck, at least for my personal taste, with the AV Club as far as the reviews go.
All right. So that's
not always agreeing with them, but generally I find my opinion is similar to theirs. So it's a good kind of.
See, I always think of Ain't It Cool because they were really on the ball with the Star Trek 2009 movie news.
Right.
And I just saw the deleted scene.
Yeah.
Where Nero is in the Klingon.
Interrogated by Klingons?
Yeah. I thought it was awful.
Yeah. Bad.
I thought it was a weak scene.
Well, it's gone.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean,
good.
Yeah. I thought the guy didn't sound like a Klingon, the Klingon guy. I thought it was so obviously exposition. It was so obviously explained the plot. And I felt like it was just kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I felt like the acting was bad.
Well, it's gone good.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
So just one of the other things.
You got another one?
Well, just let me just say one other. One of the best things about the AV Club is they'll do like
see when they
films
say
that
club.
time forgot.
When they say club, that's
the audiovisual club.
So they don't mean like you have to subscribe.
Or right, and they'll have like I watch this on purpose, which are just like movies that they know are bad and they're watching, and they'll review them in depth.
That's great,
and they'll give you clips. And
that's something I want to do on this show.
Oh yeah, we've talked about it.
Yeah,
and it's great. So it's and they're very well written. They're very funny.
That's fun.
So check those out.
Okay.
It's a quick time killer is and actually I think I found the site through the AV Club when they were talking about their favorite sites. Is Not Always Right, and it's a bunch of stories. So www.notalwaysright.com, and it's a bunch of stories where pretty much the customer's wrong and they're idiots.
Oh, cool!
So
not always
you can kill a lot of time there.
It's not www, you asshole.
Oh well. Psych your mind.
This is awesome.
So,
okay.
Yeah, no, so it's just like a bunch of people writing in their experiences with stupid customers. Just quick laugh. And,
so the not always. So it's basically go to http://notalwaysright.com, and I'm immediately there, and they go into like the first thing is it's a story. It's a post of a story who's wrong. Of a customer who's wrong.
Right, and that's all it is. I
love it.
That's all it is, but it's pretty entertaining most of the time. So that's good. That's one people might not know about. And then another one, which is a lot of people do know about it, but it's great guide as far as like purchasing, not wasting your money, just kind of getting an idea what you're in for.
All right.
And it's just Metacritic.com. I mean, it has
nice.
It's a great way to find new music. Like, you just kind of find.
I never thought of using it for that. I've always used it for video game and movie reviews.
Right, and it's good for that because you can read everyone's reviews and it's just
we should explain. I'm sure everybody knows Metacritic,
but it just takes all the reviews and it just kind of finds their average so you can figure out.
It's so funny you mentioned Metacritic because Metacritic has been around for a while.
A long time,
and
it's a different owner now.
It seems like what they're doing. So my understanding is right. They bring in all of all the different reviews on the net and whatever, and they sort of bring it and average it all together and give you an overall score of what everybody's review is. Right.
But at the same time, if you don't necessarily trust that, and there's certain reviewers, you can still click on that and see what it's broken down for you. You can kind of see where that source is coming from, and you can go into those reviews and read that.
But is it just me, or does it seem like that is a concept that is just kind of almost popular right now? This site's been doing it.
Yeah, it's been doing it forever. It's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And but it's a good way. They used to have books, which is great, but they took those away because I guess there was no interest in it and people weren't reviewing books enough.
Oh, sad.
But they do have DVDs, which are generally the same as the movies, but movies, TV, film, and I said that already, music and games. So
that's really nice.
It's a really good way to find out which games aren't going to be wasting money.
Yeah.
Generally, I mean,
you can
really kind of trust it. I mean, there's some that I would disagree on. There's some that I like way better than the score. Movies too, but it's a really good place to start.
Well, what's funny about it is I've come to trust the overall Metacritic review pretty much always, so much to the point now where, like, there's been a game where I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it, and then I've gone, well, it got kind of a low score on Metacritic, and I've stopped and, like, not picked the game up, or maybe I've rented it instead. So
right, and then you can kind of feel, and
it's really a site I trust.
It's a site that I trust too, but at the same time, it can be kind of dangerous that way because, I mean, you might potentially be missing out on some stuff.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, really,
you got to be careful.
From my experience, it's been totally worth it, just because the positive experiences that I've had with the site, based on their recommendations, their trust, or based on their scores, have been pretty good. Nice.
So the AV Club, Not Always Right, and Metacritic are John's, and mine are Classic Cinema Online, InstantWatcher.com,
right,
and InstantPieChart.com. I didn't realize I had two instants in there, and then of course the TVDB.com.
Right. We should also direct them to IO9.com for sci-fi
solid
news.
Sci-fi news. Yeah,
and that's I mean, a lot of us stories come from there. So
well, let's just be honest. We do steal a lot from these guys.
Right.
Is it IO9? Right. Yeah, it is, not I09. All right. So moving on, we've got some video game news coming up. John and I played Borderlands. We're gonna do our lazy review of Borderlands.
Yes, we didn't play very much, but we did play the game.
So that's coming up. But first, I thought maybe we'd talk a little swine flu.
Okay.
Let's explain our background. So the kickoff of this story here is President Obama has declared that swine flu is a national emergency. President Obama declares the swine flu an outbreak and national emergency, giving his health chief the power to let hospitals move emergency rooms off-site and to speed treatment to protect unaffected or non-infected patients. So this is kind of an interesting deal. I'll get into that in a bit. Let's talk about your background with swine flu, where kind of your knowledge of the horrible, horrible swine flu comes from.
Well, my knowledge is probably just the same as anybody else who's been following it for a while. I did business continuity work for my previous job.
So were you like literally tasked with the responsibility of, if there's a massive outbreak, this needs to be our plan?
Pretty much. And
that's so dark, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Like, hey, John, if we all start dying.
The thing is, I mean,
it's like, what?
At the time, I was following it a little bit, especially when it first came out. But I was following just regular pandemic news anyway, because
you are afraid of end times.
Right, I'm very, very scared of germs. I wash my hands constantly.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
But you haven't washed in weeks.
That's almost true. That's not true.
No, not true. Why would you talk about yourself like that?
But
you're your worst enemy. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No. So I was following like bird flu and when swine flu hit.
Oh yeah, bird flu. I forgot about bird flu.
Right. Well, it's still a possibility. So
what about West Nile virus? Am I going to get that?
That's something that's coming, and we'll see. But
I hope
you
so.
You got the swine flu.
I did get swine flu. That's my background.
So I can't remember the exact figures, but I think that on average we get some kind of pandemic where there's a new-ish virus that kind of affects everyone. And it's to various degrees, but I think it's between every 30 to... No, it's probably...
Oh, so you're saying...
It's on average, it's happened about every 35 years. So, and that's included the Spanish flu.
Are we at that point right now?
We're past due, actually. So, I mean, this counts. So
crap.
Yeah. So there's Spanish flu. There's, I mean, just all kinds of different ones. I can't even remember.
Sure, why wouldn't there be?
But with various, degrees of death and, infections.
Nice. You're so positive.
Right. So I just followed it for quite a while and kind of watched it spread early on and made some recommendations that were not followed. But
paying him to do a job to recommend something that you're not going to do.
Right.
Bureaucracy.
But so let me say this: a lot of people aren't really worried about it at all because, it pretty much for a lot of people it's just kind of like a bad flu. So and some people it's like a regular flu, so it doesn't really matter to them very much.
Yep.
But it is a different kind of flu, this H1N1. So, and it's likely to mutate. So, frankly, we're kind of lucky that it's just affecting us like a regular flu right now, because if it mutates, we won't really have any protection from it, or very much protection from it in general.
That's scary.
And so those who have it now will have some kind of some kind
of
might
catch
it. might catch it, but probably
Survivor.
won't be quite as bad if he mutates.
Oh, that's
So-
right. That's right. I'm going to be a survivor.
So that's one of the ways to look
So
at it.
when-
And people
when-
probably know more about this than I do and have medical degrees. And
so when all you
probably
sickies is dying, I'm going to be
your
cock of the walk
your
over here.
Well, maybe.
Mr.
Your resistance will be probably greater than people who have not.
That's
got it.
right. You hear that? I got greater resistance.
So
What's up?
basically,
What's up?
I am in favor of vaccinations, and I will be vaccinated.
Are you?
In a couple days?
So
Yeah.
here, okay, so yeah, I got swine flu. Swine flu, guys, it was awful. And
At PAX, which I was at with you and did not catch.
rock and roll, right?
Right.
So here's the thing is I was like massively sleep deprived, which kind of is always my constant state of being, it turns out. But I actually literally, so Thursday night, I had worked a 24-hour shift. Then we went to PAX on Friday.
Right, I forgot that you did.
And then we shot video at PAX. And I wanted to get it out to be timely because it's the internet and timely is important. So then I had to edit and release video the days of PAX. So then I was staying up massively late to get the video out. So I literally did not sleep for 24 hours, then stayed up super late to get video out, then went back to PAX for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and got swine flu. Awesome. All right. So my experience was I essentially went 6 days or 5 days without any symptoms. Then we were recording the computer action show early, which we almost never do. We were recording it on a Thursday, and I started to get a little cough, a little tickle in my throat during the show. I did. I coughed off to the side a few times. Turns out that was the first signs of swine flu. Later on, other symptoms emerged, which are gross, and I won't go into. They involve sitting down. What's up? And then that passed.
It makes you lazy.
Sitting down on the toilet, on the white throne, on the porcelain throne. So
Sorry.
that passed though, and I found myself with a raging fever. Basically, if I did not take ibuprofen, like 4 ibuprofen or 3 or 4, I don't remember. You know, like, so you figure ibuprofen takes like 35 to 40 minutes to kick in. If I didn't take it, like if I didn't do the math, the ibuprofen math, and say, okay, if I don't take it at this point, then it's going to wear off, my fever would start to jump way up. Like, I could hold it at 102. 102, I was rocking it. I was happy.
Happy?
No. Pretty much didn't go below 102 for a while. But if I didn't stay on top of that ibuprofen, we'd start going up to 105. And then my wife would start making me take an ice bath, which sucks because when your fever gets that high, you know what you are? Which is
Shivering.
totally BS.
Right.
You're freezing cold. You are freezing cold. And then she's like, hey, get in this ice bath. And I'm like, I hate you. So I had to do the ice bath.
Were you delusional at all?
I started seeing a little bit of spots, a little bit. And then at once I got the drunk vision where you move, but there's a little bit of smearing.
Right.
I got that, but it was pretty good. It was
it was kind of cool.
I had an interesting conundrum because when your fever is getting up to 105, you're like, this stuff could get bad. The S is probably hitting the F at this point,
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so do I drive to the? A little bit of backstory about Chris. I can tell I have a fever because I get dizzy, and so I'll be like, oh, I think I have a fever, and then I'll go take my temperature because I'm starting to get dizzy. So when I have a fever of 105, the room
dizzy.
is spinning, and I'm like, okay, so I can't drive. All right, I cannot drive in this state. So then the question is I can't really, do I call an ambulance? Because I don't want to get in the car with my wife, and we had we still do have a newborn, but
yeah.
he was even younger then, and so we couldn't leave him at home, so he'd have to come in the car, and I would surely get them sick, being trapped inside an enclosed space, being raging sick. So do I call an ambulance? Do I tough it out? It was like this weird thing that I was going through for quite a while. I decided never. We called several doctors. We called several emergency rooms, and most of them were like, "Stay home. There's not much we can do for you. If you're just doing the water and the ice water, stay home." I learned too that if you're pretty much just drinking ice water and not eating, you're almost guaranteed to lock your temperature in like around 101, 102.
Okay.
Did not know that because that's what I was doing. When I get sick like that, I lose my appetite. And so I had to, what I would do is when I could get my temperature down, my appetite would come back. I would eat, and that would really help to keep my temperature down because I don't know, like the body like sends all its mojo to the food area or what, right? Okay, so That's my personal experience with the swine.
You were
flu.
able to keep your son safe, which is good.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's
the
kinda-
wife
kinda
and the
lucky.
kid did
Yeah.
not get sick. They stayed mostly upstairs, and I stayed downstairs. But there was still some,
Yeah, crossing paths.
Yeah, exactly. And we tried to use
There have to be.
fans, and it was awful. But so interestingly enough, I was at a function this last weekend, and I can say that because a governor was involved. I was at a function.
Whoa!
And I know, right? And there was some representatives there. Hello, hi. There was some representatives there from Swedish Medical Center, big clinic in our area, and he was kind of telling me, "Oh, if you hear noise in the background, that is the furnace kicking in because it's cold in Washington."
It's cold right now.
Anyways, so he was telling me about these procedures that the people at the hospital have to go through every single morning before they come into work because they're so freaked out by swine flu.
And everybody else is too. They have to do it to reassure other people.
Check this out. So, Swedish employees in the morning get up, have to take their temperature. If it's above normal or they have like a sniffle but they don't have a temperature, anything like that, they have to call in for a consultation. The physician on the other end walks them through procedures and will also, I think some of them have a kit at home where they have like this self-testing kit. Like it's this crazy procedure they have to go
Just
through.
to see if they have it.
Then when they come in, they get their temperature taken again and they get little stickers on their badge that says, "I've been tested to make sure
For
I'm not
swine flu
sick."
today.
And if an employee doesn't have a sticker, they get sent home immediately. All right.
Okay.
Interesting,
Okay.
right?
So, well, my question is, how accurate is that test? Because you have swine flu and you're contagious before you show
Seriously.
symptoms.
No, I know. It's only
how good is that going to do?
It's only as good as they can get, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think the main thing about swine flu is you're contagious while you have symptoms, right?
You are. It's. I can't remember exactly what I read, but swine flu is slightly more contagious than the seasonal flu right now. It's not.
But isn't
Not
it, it's
a lot, but
contagious,
it is
But isn't it
more.
contagious while you have symptoms? Like,
Yeah, well, they both are to a degree, and then they stop while you still have symptoms
Gotcha.
too. Is my understanding.
Yeah.
But
So get this though. What they said, and this because of the legislation that Obama has passed,
Right.
or not legislation. I always call it that because I'm uneducated.
yeah.
But because of this stated state of emergency, John. So
Right.
a stated state of emergency. What it basically says is it gives the Swedish directors the power to say if the swine flu gets worse in their judgment, what they're going to do is lock down the hospital so that only patients that are dying will have family visitors. Everyone else will be refused. No
That's
visitors.
pretty big, and
That's big.
and that's not really good for a hospital's name.
If
to
you're
do that either.
birthing, if you're in there because you're getting a tummy tuck, if you're whatever you're doing,
But they have.
if you're not dying, you're not getting
It's
any
at their
visitors.
discretion, though, right?
Well, it's going to be a policy that their discretion to enact the policy.
Right.
But once that policy is in place,
There it is.
there it is.
So, but that's probably something that they will hesitate to do because it's very bad for the hospital's name.
I think so too. You know,
if
this
you
guy
hear that, my wife had a baby and I couldn't be there, or
not going to
that kind
happen,
of stuff.
right? And this guy was waxing on and on about how, we're so close to doing it because we're so powerful. You know what? No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. You don't have the sack. And you're just saying that because you want everybody to think you're all prepared. But you know what the truth of the
I'm
matter
calling
is?
you out, Swedish medical
I
guy.
am. You guys are not ballsy enough to do it. And I challenge you to lock that hospital
Right.
down. Tell him, John.
Yeah, it's
Challenged.
gauntlet thrown down.
The Joint Failures has thrown it down. Swedish, what's up? So, anyways, interesting but it's still interesting to hear them talk about it. They're obviously taking swine flu seriously enough that they're testing themselves every morning.
Right.
And it's funny because I had it. I'm a survivor. And I thought, not a big deal.
Really? Not a big deal. 105 temperature ice baths? Have you ever taken an ice bath in your life before? Right.
No. Sucked, right? But I didn't die.
Uh-huh.
And, they talk about it like everybody's dying. They talk about it like if you get swine flu, you're dead. And then I realized swine flu is just a bad flu. It's just a flu that sucks.
It's a bad flu right now. But a lot of flus, the Spanish flu was a bad flu.
I should
that
mention-
killed everyone.
I had a cough from the swine flu that lasted like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So, what's up, swine
my sister
flu?
had
Awesome.
it. My sister had it, and she is recovering now. But
Now,
she's,
how did she? Did she?
wasn't as nearly as bad as yours.
So-
She just had more of a bad flu. She told me that it was the sickest she ever felt in her life. But
let me ask you this though. You're all talking about vaccinations,
Mm-hmm.
and you're all like, John here is a baller, and he's going to get a vaccination.
right. Well, vaccinations.
And I say, John,
yes.
if maybe we weren't so over vaccinated, swine flu wouldn't get all bad like this.
Well,
and then I also say maybe it's meant to pick a few of the weaker in the herd off.
Oh, really? Is that what you say?
That's what I said, apparently.
Well, I am, and there's a lot of debate around it. You have like people like Jenny McCarthy and just super against vaccinations, and we got like, I have a newborn, and we got a book talking about vaccinations, and whether they're good or bad, when they're necessary.
We've been going back and forth on it, Angela and I, with our baby Dylan.
Well, it's a big topic of debate, and I know some people personally who are super against them.
Here's the thing.
Reading this book, and this book is as unbiased as possible. It tells you what the ingredients are. It tells you what the risks of them are, of each vaccination is.
Why
side effects.
Why don't you hook your buddy Chris up with this book, who also has a newborn?
According to my wife, you have it already and have not read it.
Ah, crap.
So busted.
Well, that's what the wife is for. She's supposed to read that crap.
So, and I haven't read every vaccination because it goes through.
I spilled beer on my what the
nice
F shirt.
Nice. I haven't gone through each vaccination, but it is kind of interesting because it, like I said, it says the side effects and it says, why some people choose not to give it, why people choose to give it, and the person who gave us this book is, I'm pretty sure, anti-vaccinations and probably had not read the book.
Do I know this person?
It's my mom.
Oh, all right.
But
that person, the person who gave me life,
but not against all, but
who I do know.
Right. Well, anyway, just reading it, it's pretty. I mean, reading it, it's hard to say no to vaccinations after reading this book because it's like, okay, well, there's this, and really, in almost every case, it ends up saying, you really should get this.
And that's kind
of. There's some where it says, and there are a few where it says, you know what. This disease is not really that big of a threat. Nobody really gets this. The side effects are minimal, but if you're against them, if you want to space them out, you can.
That's generally the way I look at vaccines, too. I think like the Jenny McCarthy out there, I think she's, okay. So you know how there's like, there's religious fanatics, and then there's like the people in the middle. There's open source fanatics like Richard Stallman, who eats toe jam, literally, and then there's people in the middle. And there's Republican fanatics and Democrat fanatics, vaccine fanatics, and Jenny McCarthy is a vaccine fanatic.
Right.
And so you can go too far that direction, and you can go too far the other direction. And I think I'm more of a centrist on the issue. Right. And
so what is your view? Because I mean, the arguments against is you have people who claim that mercury is giving autism. So
do you remember my dad's vaccination story?
No.
So people out there, and I think you'll probably remember it when I start telling it. So my dad, who's related to me, so
that one,
he was working in an area that was unsanitary. It was a sewer, and so as part of a requirement of his job, they said, "Well, Mr. Fisher, you need to get a vaccination for yada yada yada." It was a flu of some kind because you're working with poo. He's not actually working with the poo, but he's near poo. And if you're going to be near poo, you need to get this vaccination. So he said, "Okay, give me." My dad's like, "Whatever, I don't care. Give me the vaccination, whatever." And so he got the vaccination. And then he came, and then you say, like, this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
He came home around 5 o'clock, and around 6 o'clock, his hands and his joints hurt. By 8 o'clock, he was in a lot of pain, and we were talking about going to the emergency room. By 10 o'clock, he completely was frozen. Like, if you put him in carbonite. Like, he was totally...
Couldn't move at all.
Paralyzed in position. Couldn't move. I mean, he could move his eyes and his face.
He could still breathe okay, though, right?
But all his joints had fully locked up. Yeah. Only his joints had fully frozen. Okay. And that lasted, like, for a couple of days where it started to... they had to pump him full of steroids so he could move. But it hurt like a SOB. And then over the next month, he started to loosen up. It took about a month to really kind of clear out.
Right.
And it was essentially... What they diagnosed him with is a crazy extreme onset case of really, 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 really bad arthritis. Wow. Like really strong arthritis. And they said it was probably most likely a very rare side effect to the vaccinations. And I thought, I looked at that, and it hurt for him, like painful.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, if I don't need the vaccination, I'm going to skip it. Because that might be in my genetics or whatever it was. But then then the flip side is millions of people get these, and if it's something that's really going around, I should protect myself. But I do wonder if I'm strengthening the virus because it has to adapt.
That's kind of they mutate on their own. I mean, they just do. That's
Yeah.
just they're
a mutating
super likely-
bunch.
Yeah, I mean they're
Yeah.
common.
They got places to go,
weird to see
people to infect.
Because the fact of the matter is when you get the vaccination, it's your immune system's response to fighting it. So when you fight it, even if you got it naturally, it's still going to have to mutate if you're going to catch it again. It's going to have to be a different one. So that should not matter at all.
That's an interesting point. Okay.
Okay. So really, what the arguments are is you have the mercury argument, which some people think that mercury causes autism in.
But they pretty much there's like one of the swine flu vaccinations that uses mercury, but pretty much
generally they don't now.
They all don't use it.
Yeah,
now,
I mean you can ask some of the newer ones. I think I'm actually not sure about the swine flu because some of the newer ones, if they're like emergency, they have to have that preservative in there.
Preservative, yeah.
And so then you have it. And then there's some people even who talk about aluminum causing problems.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of aluminum and it's trace amounts. And from what I read, a book I was reading,
it's like as much as you get from a can of pop, though.
You get more in a can of pop. You get more through the breast milk than you do through.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, just because there's mercury, there's aluminum in things that we eat.
Aluminum is like
it's kind of an argument that people should really research before they make.
That's
I think.
the thing. That's
and
the thing.
So there's that. And so if mercury's not really a problem, aluminum's not really a problem. What's causing it? So you can get this book. I can't really remember. I think it's a Sears book of vaccination. Some book, but it has all the ingredients. You can.
Hey,
see
you know
where
what?
it's from.
Thanks for helping us out with it.
No problem. No problem. Maybe you can check it out afterwards and put it in the show notes. You have it. You have the book.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's kind of interesting. And I've read articles where there's like this. Rolling Stone wrote about it a long time. It was a case that 4 vaccinations causing autism, and they showed Amish people and how their rates of autism are way lower than national average. So and the Amish don't do vaccinations.
Oh, so people were like looking.
So from what they saw, based on the Amish population, there should have been 30 people with autism. Instead, there were 3, and of those 3, 2 were adopted from families that had vaccinations. So make of that what you will. Really, there's like they say, correlation is not causation. It could be totally unrelated to that. It could be just something in
yeah,
it's a
Amish
tricky
DNA. Deal. Though one piece of data I have seen, which seems pretty concrete to me, is they actually can do like heat map overlays of the United States, and I'm sure this would work outside the United States too. And what they'll say, they can actually illustrate like people who are not vaccinated go to a town,
right?
Then other people in that town get on the unvaccination bandwagon, and then illness spreads and grows right there.
Right,
and looking at almost like a heat map, if you do like a time lapsed, like 15-year playback, it's like watching red dots light up on a map.
Right, and that's true, and that's one of the things. That's one of the big arguments. Even if it's not that common of an illness, you can pretty much eliminate a disease, an illness, if everyone gets vaccinated against it.
You can.
To a certain degree.
But that's the thing, is not everyone's always going to get vaccinated. And that's where I lie. It's like... but
the more people who do, the less likely that it's going to spread.
And I think we're going to do vaccinations for Dylan just because if we put him in daycare, that seems like that's a must vaccinate scenario. Right now, he's at home, but it's a scary thing because when you have to make that decision for another person's life, which could affect them long term, it's a whole other layer. When it's me, right. When everything's at the end of the day, I don't really give an S. If it screws me up, it screws me up. But it's me it's screwing up. If for a kid, that's a different thing. That's a whole other level of like, well, now that's a big decision.
Right.
But I think looking at the data, I'm leaning towards vaccination.
That's my personal feeling. My
I would have been devastated if I would have given him swine flu. Effing devastated.
Right. And that's the thing. And if for me, I feel if I chose not to give my daughter, whatever vaccination, and then she caught it,
right.
I would feel very responsible. I would feel guilty, and I would feel like I made a mistake.
Yeah.
So based on
that would be
even if it's
hard to live with for a long time.
Right. Because the side effects in general are very rare. You have some of the flu ones. You have maybe flu symptoms.
What they need
for like
to do is like work out side effects that are awesome. Like side effects include huge penis. And side effects include massive muscle building. Side effects include weight loss. Then I'd be like, every vaccination, please. And that's all they need to do. And
so work on that, science.
Sometimes there's diarrhea. But I'll be like, but the penis thing, right? And they'd be like, yeah. I'm like, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
That's all they got to do is work in the penis thing, weight loss, and muscle gain. And then all the other crap, I don't care if it's bleeding from the anus. Literally, not a problem.
Really? So you're gonna try to make that sell like I realize
They
I'm
got
bleeding.
butt pads, John. I can put a butt pad in my underwear.
I realize I'm bleeding right now, but
Check out the size of this wang. That's all I'm saying.
Let's take a different turn than I was expecting.
All right, so should we talk about a little video games?
Yeah, let's go from anal bleeding to video games.
Okay, well,
You're welcome, audience.
Sometimes not that far.
Dwindling audience.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's coming out for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Because good chances are a lot of you out there have one of the two. If you have the Wii, like John does.
I do not have the Wii. Never had. No, I borrowed it once for like a week.
Wow.
Like 2 years ago.
That's your endorsement of the Wii. I borrowed it once.
It's not an endorsement. I do not endorse the Wii.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's my point. It's like, I don't know. I just go back. I'm a Nintendo guy. I really love Nintendo. Yeah. But yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about the 360 and the Wii. I mean, the PS3, not the Wii. Though you Wii watchers and viewers,
there's a new Mario game out though that sounds kind of cool.
Kind of makes me want a Wii. I'm going to be honest with you. All right. So you know what? The Wii's at a good price point that I actually might pick one up
just for the Mario game.
The Mario game, the classic retro arcade, and the Wii Fit.
Right.
I think maybe right there alone.
Okay, there's some good games.
It's a good party console. You got people over; they want to do bowling, whatever. All right. So the next
that'll get Brian talking.
The thing on our topic here, though, is the Xbox 360 is doing a couple of things that I'm interested to see what people think about this stuff being brought to their TV. A big update, not the one that came out today that we're recording this, but a one that's coming out later in November. It includes the ability to post and read Facebook and Twitter on your Xbox. So.
See, Microsoft, they're dialed into what people are looking at right now.
What do you think about having Facebook and Twitter on your Xbox?
I feel like, if I have Facebook, if I have Twitter, then I have an easier way to do that than like...
You mean Facebook.com and Twitter.com?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Than the Xbox. I mean,
totally uninterested. The only thing that could be kind of cool if there was a way to work in, and this could also be... So I would say this could be cool / obnoxious. What if, like... you unlock an achievement, and you could have an auto Twitter that you unlock the achievement.
That'd be so annoying.
Yeah, no good.
That'd be so annoying.
No good. Okay,
right.
All right.
Like who cares?
That. Who cares? Yeah, who cares? Go to my Xbox profile.
I mean, like on Twitter, like us. Oh, well, I gotta go get that.
Totally. And you can already get that information from my Xbox.
I'm gonna go buy Barbie Dreamland.
Oh, I gotta do that. All right.
I wanna make that mansion.
So we're both thumbs down on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, it's a feature.
It's a feature. That's a good call.
Like, right. Well,
it's a feature.
We'll see how they implement it. Okay, we'll see.
John from Joint Failures. It's a feature.
Quoted.
Insightful reviews from Joint Failures.
It's a feature. I need to say it more monotone. It's a feature. We'll see how they implement it. It doesn't really make sense to me. It sounds like they're just trying to cash in on what's popular.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, this next one, I actually think is really cool. Even though I don't even have... no, that's not true. I do have an account, but I never use it. Last.fm integration. Do you know what Last.fm is?
It's a radio thing.
You know what Pandora is, right?
Right, I do.
So it's like Pandora Radio and Last.fm Radio are kind of the same. It's if you like this music, you might like this music.
It figures it out based on
built-in streaming, built-in playlists, music recommendations, community, so you can subscribe to groups. We actually had for a long time. In fact, I think it still exists, and I think I'm a member of it. A Linux Action Show Last.fm group where we could see what everybody in the Linux Action Show Last.fm group were enjoying, and then we could stream that. Now, the reason why I think that's cool to put on the Xbox 360 is a lot of us have an Xbox 360 hooked up to a receiver, which has some nice speakers on it, and now I'm going to be able to get that music on those speakers.
No, that is a cool feature.
That's definitely a cool feature.
Doesn't sound too cool, but that Last.fm is kind of nice.
All right, so another feature that's coming up on the Xbox 360, which I think is rad, but I'm very skeptical of, and that is Netflix 1080p streaming.
Really?
So now here is the gotcha.
What kind of connection do you have to have for that?
They say, depending on your connection, it could be near instant, or it's going to buffer for a little bit. But if it has to buffer, check out this S.
Tell me.
They will start to stream the lower quality version and buffer the 1080p in the background, and then automatically transition to the 1080p when you have a next.
That's cool, and that's actually smart and
very
smarter
cool
than I would give them credit for. Actually,
right?
I
know totally. Now here's the gotcha of the 1080p Netflix streaming.
Money?
No.
Oh,
1080p simply means 1920 by 1080 resolution. I could have a butt-looking picture at 1920 by 1080, and it could look awful. It just means it fits that resolution. It doesn't mean that it's what you really care about are the bit rate of that 1080p picture. A 1 to 2 megabit 1080p picture can look okay if the scaling's done right. And I think that's where they're going with this. I think it's actually going to look pretty good.
Well, that's kind of cool then.
That is the gotcha. Is just because it is that screen size doesn't mean it's going to be a
I bet if they're
picture.
buffering, if they're doing it that way, I bet it's going to look okay.
I mean, so.
I'll give them credit for that.
And it's not going to be all of their titles. It's going to be, they're
more popular.
Yeah, but very cool. And it's going to be, the reason why I'm talking about this, I think, is because it's a great way that this current generation of consoles is continuing to increase in value since we bought them.
That's true.
I can't think of any other generation where these great features have continued to come out.
Well, they didn't update like this before. That's what it is.
And this is great.
Yeah.
And I don't know who.
And it really, really expands the life of each console. It makes it more, like you said, more for your money.
Even if I'm not gaming on the Xbox 360 in the next, say, 3 years, I could still be watching my Netflix 1080p just fine.
Yeah, you couldn't watch Blu-rays. But you probably wouldn't need to.
They keep Microsoft. It's so funny, dude. Steve Ballmer,
that guy's a card, huh?
Yeah, he's a real character. He keeps saying that Blu-ray is coming to the 360, and then Microsoft marketing immediately the next day releases a press release saying it is not coming to 360.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just kidding, guys. What the F? Come on.
Yeah,
See, I think Microsoft, along with Apple, is hoping that the whole Blu-ray thing goes away and that everybody just gets their crap over the internet.
Yeah. I think obviously that's where we're headed in the long term, but, how long is it going to take before we're there? Because not everybody has great connections.
Like we talked about last episode, I still like having the physical media of some of those movies, and I don't want to make that switch.
Right.
I'm totally cool with streaming some stuff.
But
other stuff,
physical copy.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. The other thing that they're going to bring to the 360, which is probably not applicable to anybody other than 4% of our audience, but they're adding some Zune features to the Xbox 360. And this is like one of those things that you look at and you go, I cannot believe Microsoft hasn't done this yet, but I'm glad it's coming. Yeah. And what that is so, Microsoft has their Zune player and their Zune software, and along with that is a Zune marketplace. And the Zune marketplace has TV shows, movies, and also a subscription service.
Yeah, it's crazy they haven't done this already.
Right? You couldn't buy something from the Zune marketplace and watch it on the 360.
Has it been out 3 years?
Totally, 2 or 3 years. The Zune subscription, the Zune Pass is what it's called. Mind-blowing. Awesome.
You have a Zune.
No, actually, I gave it away.
Oh.
But I tried it out. It out so I could talk about it. And it's like anything I ever want, I have it. It's like, so the Zune Pass now in its current iteration is like $14 a month in the US. And with that, you get 10 free songs a month that you can download for free, DRM free MP3s. And then on top of that, you can download almost anything in the store, and you can
temporarily.
As long as you pay
on your subscription,
yeah, right. Or if you then elect to buy one of those songs, one of those you use one of your 10 points. Then they also, but because you can just get music for free, they're like, "Hey, do you want to just automatically download the top 20 chart?" I'm like, "Yeah, give me all the top 20 songs all the time.
Give me my Miley."
Do you want to automatically download the most popular big band classical music? Yes, I do. Do you want to download just all this different stuff? So you launch Zune, it's like RSS feeds for real legitimate commercial music that you can then turn around and burn to a CD, a Zune, crack, etc. All you can eat music for $14 a month.
That's not too bad.
And now to be able to play those on the 360, kind of cool. The problem with the Zune Pass only works on the Zune device, only works on the 360. Meh. Nobody has a Zune. That's the thing. I literally mean 4% of our audience gets these shows via Zune.
Wow.
78% get them via iTunes. So you do the math, internet. But it's still a good feature if you're a Zune Pass user. You're not going to also get that music on the 360. I mean, you're talking streaming movies, you're talking Last.fm, you're talking Zune Pass. That's pretty cool. But let's talk about the PlayStation 3 really quickly, because what are those guys doing? Well, Netflix has announced that Netflix Watch Now, or Watch Instantly as they call it,
their PS3.
vernacular. They're bringing it to the PS3. But here's an interesting thing.
And they shied away from this for a long time.
They definitely did.
Sony.
Well, they were worried
worried
it was going to rob the Sony marketplace.
Right.
Yeah. And so what they're going to do is, this kind of sucks, but I think it's going to be a ... kind of a thing. The first dot is you have a Blu-ray disc. And
a free Blu-ray disc.
A free Blu-ray disc from Netflix. And we'll give you a link in the show notes. You have to go specifically request it. I got to imagine if you don't get your name on that list soon enough, you're going to be pretty far
out of luck. Right.
But you get a Blu-ray disc using the BD Live features on Blu-ray, which, BD Live, have you ever used BD Live?
I haven't. I think it's a neat feature that I will never use.
The only thing I've ever heard of BD Live being cool was the director of Batman did an online chat live commentary where everybody was online and he was chatting. I think BD Live are generally Java applications or something like that. Anyways, you put this Blu-ray disc in, it launches a BD Live session, which then lets you stream the Netflix movies. And unlike the 360 at this point in time, although it's going to be fixed by this update we just mentioned, you can also add and edit your watch instantly queue on the PlayStation 3. You have to have this disc in every time you watch a video from Netflix, but
that's until next year.
It sounds like next year Sony's going to do a system update to the PlayStation 3,
which will give you
and build that functionality.
And then you don't need that anymore. So
cool enough, because my downstairs TV, I have a PlayStation 3. My upstairs TV, I have a 360. Now I'm covered on both machines.
There you go.
Very nice. So we want to give a little shout out to the PlayStation 3. No word on the Wii. It might actually literally be, and I'm not just a Wii hater, it might actually be that the Wii doesn't have the horsepower to decode the video. So I don't know.
Nintendo.
Nintendo. All right. So moving on from that, I thought we'd give a real quick lazy review of Borderlands to kind of cap off our video game section. If you haven't checked out Borderlands yet, you might want to after this review, though, so just a little warning.
Do you know if there's a demo available on Xbox Live?
I don't.
We should check it out. We don't know. We're not going to do the research.
No! Lazy review, people.
Joint failures.
Joint failures, lazy review of Borderlands, coming at you.
There you go.
We don't do the research. Also, we've only played for a little bit, but here's what I know about the game. First of all, John, your immediate, I saw the game, played it for a little bit. What's your impressions?
I liked it a lot. It's got all the elements I love. I enjoy first-person shooters. I enjoy leveling up. I enjoy all those things. I enjoy missions, and it has missions.
What about cel-shaded?
What?
Cel-shaded.
And it's cel-shaded, which it's done well.
You don't mind the cel-shaded?
No, I like it when it's done well.
I do too.
And I think it's a really cool look for the game.
It's like a real, it's like a textured cel shading.
Yeah.
Like the characters have like skin texture, but it's
looks good.
My understanding too is they were almost shipped the game without the cel shading, and then they decided they couldn't get the graphics to look quite the way they wanted on the current system, so they said, you know what, if we cel shade it, we can get an artistic look that we want.
Well, fine. It works.
Yeah,
it works.
totally.
So we didn't play it long enough to play through all the guns because apparently there's a ton of guns you can get.
50,000, I believe, is the number.
That's ridiculous and
impossible,
unnecessary, really. But
probably
still,
not true. Probably
that's definitely the A+ for trying. So good job.
Yeah, gold star.
So you can level up your guns. You can level up your character. There's missions. There's money, and it's a good shooter too. Just from what I played, and we didn't. I haven't tried it online yet. I did.
We played it for a little bit. Did you
co-op with Chris?
We did a split screen, which is a side. It's not horizontal. It's vertical split screen.
That's the way to go.
Which is actually really great.
Yeah,
it's really great. Now you could immediately get a sense that there is a latent humor in the game.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah,
there's a robot,
which I love.
We were kind of in the training set. We were a little bit past training, but I mean, there's this robot that you see who gets hurt, and he starts just crying like a little baby, and moaning, which is kind of funny.
While you're running around shooting guys.
Yeah, he's like, no, yeah.
And so
it sounds more annoying than it was. I thought it was fun. I wouldn't need to do it all the time, but yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that Star Trek Online has announced their closed beta, and I'm refreshing my inbox to play Star Trek Online
all the time,
this game would be my current obsession.
Yeah, it would consume me just because with the leveling up, with the missions, so you have stuff to do. You have a reason to do it.
You've got RPG blended with first-person shooter.
Very well, from what we can tell.
Very well, and 4-player co-op. I love that. But you've also got single-player, a full story mode single-player. You create a single character which goes in the online gameplay.
You can name and customize your outfit.
I love that it's one character that transcends both online play and single-player mode. But a couple of things that... Well, the main thing, really, that stands out this game that every first-person shooter from now on needs to have this feature, and that is the hit points. When you're shooting a dude, you like if you're playing a role-playing game, you see the hit damage you're doing to them fly off. 15 damage, 10 damage, 20 damage. And the reason why that's key is, first of all, I know for sure I'm hitting them. And I get
Right.
there's also critical damage, like if you do a headshot. I know if I switch a gun, I know if that gun helps me or doesn't help me. Like when you play a Call of Duty, you have a pretty good idea that this gun is more powerful than the last gun.
Yeah, I mean that's
but
really,
it's kind of just your it's a sense
being
you're
able to
going
see it.
for.
And they do it without it being distracting, I think.
Totally agree with you. Totally.
And that's key because that could have screwed him up. But I think it's done well.
You get to pick from like 4 or 5 different characters who all have different attributes. Very fun. Graphics look amazing. The storyline is amazing. It's kind of like post-apocalyptic. People are going crazy.
Right.
I loved everything about it in just the first. I think I played it for grand.
This is
10 minutes.
quick impressions. Yes.
Yeah.
So we really liked the first 10 minutes that we played. Maybe it gets repetitive later. Maybe there are other problems that we don't know.
Good things.
But
I'm hearing like
well, we talked about Metacritic. What's the Metacritic review of it?
It's like an 88 on Metacritic.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's an 85 on Metacritic.
Okay.
And the fan reviews are huge. People are really loving it. It's got an 8.8 by the commenters, which is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And the whole integration of 2 completely different genres: the first-person shooter, role playing, and it's not just like you noticed too. Like you checked your stats, and because you'd been using one particular gun, your skill level in that gun had gone up.
I believe. I was thinking about.
No, you're right.
Later.
No, it is true. I've read that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I also picked the person who was specialized in that gun in the first place. So
we leveled up, and you got a little level up thing. Oh, we should mention, since we were playing split screen, we were teamed. So if John killed somebody, I got a little XP.
Right. We shared money. We shared experience.
We shared money. We shared quests. They have quests in the game.
We already said that. Yes.
So you have like missions you have to. I mean, it's just like the perfect combination of the 2 genres. Like perfect. And I know Fallout 3 has a lot of this.
Fallout does to a degree, yes, it does, and it's another excellent game. I mean, and they do some things actually in a cooler style that I would actually probably pick Fallout 3 over in some ways, but it doesn't have the co-op. It is a single player game.
That's the thing, and the co-op is so huge for me.
That's what does it.
And the reason why this game I think is noteworthy is if you look back recently, there's a couple of games that were like genre changers. And maybe inappropriately so.
We can give Call of Duty, as the pioneer.
Call of Duty.
For Call of Duty, is it World of War? Whatever the one where you can level up. I mean, that's part of it.
Right.
I mean, that's huge.
And I think you have to give some credit to Halo and Gears of War for different things they've introduced. Gears of War with the crouch and the run. Other games had them, but Gears of War really pulled it off right. Other games like Fallout 3 have done what Borderlands has done in different ways. Other games besides
and there's
Fallout
probably
3
games before that we don't know, but came before that.
But Borderlands, in my opinion, brings it all together so well that this is one of those games that in a couple of years I'm going to look back and say, you remember when Borderlands did that?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was the time. And I think that's what this game is. I like it so much that I'm going to take a break from my Star Trek Online beta invite inbox refreshing, and I'm already planning on Friday night to do a little gaming session, just to play this game because I really want to get into it. Now, for me, a big part is multiplayer in the co-op, so I'm trying to get everybody to get the game so I can play with them. But love it. I played the single player for a little bit, got a little bored because that's how I do. But
he needs companionship,
constant companionship. I get super lonely. Everybody, they got headsets.
So he doesn't like single player games. Is a fact.
Pretty much.
Generally.
Pretty much. I'm a social gamer. I'm a social gamer. All right, so that's our Borderlands review. Nice and lazy for you. I thought we'd just wrap it up with a couple of really quick tech stories because we want to always end things on a tech note.
Yes.
The first one is, John, have you heard about, there's this thing by this company. And it's called the Windows operating system. From a small little company around here called Microsoft.
Indie? Kind of an indie developer.
Total indie. Real independent shop. You can get you get it in their vibe. You get it from their vibe.
I like that. Not so in your face.
Right. So Windows 7's out, and one of the things, you know what, honestly, it's a pretty good release. It really is a pretty good release. And I say that biting my tongue because I didn't want it to be. I wanted to hate it.
He's had a long history of not really caring for Windows.
But it's a pretty solid desktop release, and definitely a competitor to what's out there. One of the things I really hate about Windows is there's like 6 or 7 different versions.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? Like, if you go get...
Home Premium, like business.
Oh, dude, Starter Edition, Business, Enterprise Edition, Home Ultimate, or Home Premium Ultimate, whatever.
You'll have to upgrade edition.
Yeah. And they sell them at varying different price ranges. And the Home Premium one's like around $200, and it's pretty much what everybody does, except for a couple of critical features like network backup are not supported, and you have to get the Ultimate Edition to get network backup. So it turns out there's this little program, and we'll release. We'll put it in the show notes. This little program has been released, and I just love it. Because you know that these little restrictions they do between the versions are just like these artificial limitations.
Right. They can do it. They're just choosing not to give it to you.
Right. So there's this program called the Windows 7 ISO Edition Switcher, and I'm not recommending you use this.
Mm-hmm.
Joint Failures does not recommend you use this at all.
No, not officially.
But for your own research and education, we will make a link in the show notes. And what this does is you can take the home premium ISO image of a DVD, of a Windows 7 installation DVD.
Uh-huh.
You point this program at it.
Right.
Flips a few bits.
Okay.
Bob's your uncle, you got Windows Ultimate.
Great.
You literally go from a $200 version of Windows to a $400 version of Windows.
Just like that.
Using this program. And
so does Microsoft have any way of tracking that you're doing this? Will your key become invalid in any case?
I don't think so, because the reason it's a great question, and I think the reason why it's okay, it's not going to get detected, is because it's actually changing bits on the installation medium. So once that image hits the drive, it fully thinks that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay,
but it doesn't know. It doesn't know.
You don't think that Microsoft has like key, because they know which version you're running, because there's updates and stuff.
Right.
They're not going to know, like, sync your key. Like, okay, this key is for home premium, it's not for
It doesn't
Ultimate.
sound like it.
Okay,
but that's always a risk you're going to run.
Right.
And I guess the worst case scenario is they flag it, and then you have to reinstall and go back to the version you bought.
Right.
But if you're willing to roll the dice and you got your stuff backed up, you could run this program at an ISO image, burn it back to a DVD, and you could essentially get a $200 free upgrade.
There you go.
And the only reason why I even talk about this is just from an educational standpoint.
Right.
I think it's important to identify when software makers put these limitations in place that don't need to be there. Honestly,
it's not like they're giving you anything more with the more expensive edition other than something unlocked that's already there.
Right. And it's like Apple, right?
Yeah.
You've got Mac OS X, server, desktop. Right. That's all there is. And that's what Microsoft needs to do. And Microsoft needs to sort of peel that onion and reduce some of that complexity. And I think this Windows
I think it would be a good thing for them too, because it's intimidating for the average user too, to know that there's that many different versions out there.
And you know what else is? I've had the question.
Not that people stay away from Windows, but
I've had the question, hey, I've got
upgrading.
I've got Vista Home on my machine. I was thinking about going out and buying the Vista Ultimate. Do you think that's a good upgrade for me? And I'm like, look at them, and like, I'm totally dumbfounded that even came up, because no, that is not a good upgrade. Don't do it. But people out there, like, from a marketing standpoint, it works. I mean, I've gotten that question a few times. So people think, I don't
Premium
have the
sounds good, but Ultimate sounds bitter.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So the last bit of tech news-ish that we've got for this episode of Joint Failures is just kind of a follow-up is...
we talked about the Kindle last week.
We talked about the Kindle. We gave it a review. John got the Kindle 2 for his anniversary. And I just thought kind of an interesting thing, because we had the conversation, are ebooks going to kill the paper book? And the answer is generally no. Most of you out there said, no, not for me. It has its place. And that was generally our consensus too. But this is an interesting note just along that conversation line. The Kindle version of the Dan Brown, The Lost Symbol book, the Kindle version...
Biggest release in a while.
Very big. The Kindle version has outsold the hardback version on the release day.
And here's the reason why, is because Kindle can offer it for $10 instead of $30, which is,
well,
it's about $28
and you figure too, there's going to be some of that instant gratification that factors in. Oh, John, have you heard of this new Dan Brown book, Lost Symbol?
Yes.
Well, let me get that.
It's poorly reviewed.
Bought, right? Instead of, well, let me go get that and I'll have it in 2 to 3 days.
Right.
So there's also that. But now you gotta kind of parse the marketing lingo here, right? So this is an announcement from Amazon, because only Amazon knows what their Kindle sales are and what their ebook sales are, and they don't generally share that info unless it's positive. Here's what they said. Amazon.com is saying that the new Dan Brown book, The Lost Symbol, outsold the hardcover version on the day it was released earlier this week.
Oh.
So, on the day it was released, the Kindle version sold more than the hardback.
And that's still big news, actually.
We're not talking paperback, though.
Well, there is no paperback for it. It's brand
not yet, but doesn't generally the paperback sell way more than the hard?
Oh, yeah, that always happens. But still, considering that, not everyone has a Kindle, and that this book is everywhere. It is the first thing you see when you go to bookstores. It's the first, like, Costco, everywhere. It's the big seller right now.
I got to be honest with you. I was thinking about getting this book, but what do you think?
Really? Were you actually planning on getting this book?
Well, the audiobook version.
Audio, okay, fine. Well, it depends on your taste in books. I don't. No, I wasn't as big a fan as Da Vinci Code as some people were.
Would you say it's like? Would you say it's like a bad TV series? Like, would you say it's like the Smallville of TV? It's not very well written, but it's entertaining.
Here's what I will say about the Da Vinci Code. My personal opinion.
Da Vinci Code was written by Dan Brown.
Da Vinci Code, yes, was written by Dan Brown, who was also writing The Lost Symbol. It was a very poorly written book that was a great page turner. Like I kept reading it. I finished it. I went through it. Even though
I think we were living together.
This is horrible writing. And
we were roommates when Da Vinci Code came out.
We probably were, I think. Actually.
Yeah, and I remember you burned through it, and you're like, well, right. You were like, your review literally was,
fair,
you emerged from your cave, and you're like, it's a page turner.
Yeah, well, like here's what it was. Okay, to be fair, I was reading, like, before that, just because I got on a kick. I'm not always like this, but I was reading, like, a ton of classic books right before it. Like, books that are well-established.
Books. What was one of them? Name one of them.
Oh, just not even like super fan. But like I was reading some Dickens. I was reading some Dostoevsky.
So you went from that,
right? So it's like jumping into cold water, from the hot tub to cold water. Yeah. But that being said, there's some interesting ideas in it. I think it's some cool stuff to think about in, and it was a page turner. It was
would
trash,
you read it again?
But
would you read it again?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But at that same time, I wouldn't. I don't regret reading it because even though I
that's
knew
what I meant. I didn't mean would you read it a second time. I meant would you, like, if you could travel back, if you could get in the DeLorean and go back to young John of 3 years ago.
No,
and be like,
I read it. I recognize it for crap, but I recognize it as fun. It's like it's like a crappy movie.
Are you going to read The Lost Symbol?
I don't know. Maybe.
Are you more likely since you can buy it for cheaper on the Kindle?
I am more likely because I can buy it for $10 on the Kindle.
That's what I was thinking.
That's absolutely true.
So I don't know what the audiobook cost is, but I have an Audible membership, and so I just get a couple of books a month.
Oh, really?
Depending. I get 2 points, and some books are 1 point, and some books are 2 points. So I either spend all my books.
You know what? It will keep you listening. I have not read the book. I know a little about it.
Okay,
just
what's it about?
From reviews. It's just stuff in D.C. It takes place in D.C. and it's what's cool about Dan Brown. To give him credit,
that's right. It's like the source of the pyramid symbol with the eyeball on the dollar.
Right, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But to give him credit, if you have been where he's reading or he's writing about, it's really kind of cool just to remember that. And that was true. I'd been to Italy when I
live. Oh, okay.
Da Vinci Code and
gotcha.
And France.
That is cool. Yeah, I can see how that could be cool.
So it's kind of cool just like realizing where he's talking about. What's the other one? Angels and Demons. Angels and Demons is in Rome. And I had been to Rome and read that. So as much as I did not care for the writing in Da Vinci Code, I still read Angels and Demons.
Because he's talking about locations
which is not as well written as Da Vinci Code, which is saying something.
It'd be like it'd be like reading a book where the main character is in Seattle.
Yeah, except we live in Seattle, so we know it. But it's like a place like a destination place that you enjoyed and you went to and you liked and you remember vividly.
Like Las Vegas.
Right, fine. You liked Las Vegas. And them talking about like certain places that you've been to. And that's kind of cool.
Okay.
That being said, if you like Da Vinci Code, nothing against you. I mean, there's fun parts.
He just thinks you're an idiot.
I don't think you're an idiot at all. I just didn't care for the writing of it. I think lots of people can enjoy the book and still...
No, I could totally agree because there's like I look at it kind of like TV. There's
you know what it is? It's my Transformers 2. I did not. I recognize that as a horrible movie, but that I still enjoyed.
It's an enjoyable. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's a Transformers of a book.
Okay,
which is a movie I love to watch.
There you go.
I look at that and go, that is not an example of movie art.
Right, and I would even say that it's better than that because there's more thought. At least the Da Vinci Code, I haven't read the Lost Symbol. There's thought-provoking aspects of it,
and Transformers too.
And I eat up stuff on religion, and Da Vinci Code is all about religion.
Yeah, that's me too. So that's why I thought. But honestly, I have the Da Vinci Code. Either you gave, probably not you,
probably not me.
People, I have the Da Vinci Code. I've never read it because you're like, meh.
Read it. I'll even say read it because since you don't read too much fiction that much, right? That's fair to say.
I am mostly
more, but
I'm mostly nonfiction. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Read it because it'll keep you interested. It is each chapter will make you want to read the next one just because of something like well, I got to find out what happens.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I've been into submarine stories right now. Really interesting non-fictional submarines, but when that wraps up, I was thinking of the Lost Symbol, but maybe I'll start with the Da Vinci Code, then go to the Lost Symbol.
See what you think, because
Yeah.
Because reviewers still say that the Da Vinci Code is his best book that he's written.
All right. Well, so is that everything we got for this episode?
I think so.
Okay, everyone. So here's the
We'll end it with a review of a book that was now for like 7 years.
Welcome. See how relevant we are?
Right.
Yeah. Of course, none of you are still watching anymore,
No.
and that's how we
It's
roll.
over.
All right, everyone. Well, if you want to get a hold of us, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I am over on Twitter, and you can Twitter me. I am twitter.com/ChrisLAS.
And I am your friend John.
That's clever. You see there.
But I don't update it that much. I will try and be better about it.
And then, of course, if you want any information about our shows, you can do it in a couple of different ways.
If I gain more than one follower, which is you right now, I will update it better.
What's up?
There you go.
If we want to get feedback for the show where other people can read it, you can head over to jupitercolony.com. We've got a thread in there, a forum in there just for joint failures, and also facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. We're giving away some wave invites. And I'm going to tell you people, this is the first time I've said it on joint failures, Google just opened up the fire hose for me as far as invites go. I've got a bunch.
What?
I've got a bunch to give away, and I'm doing it over at facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting.
There you go.
You already
Check
got
it out.
yours is in your inbox.
Good. I'll check it
I'm
out.
going to get you hooked up with Wave.
I will. I'll read it.
All right,
I'll
everyone.
Surf it.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode of Joint Failures. We're back in 1 week.
Yep. All done.